Hello guys, welcome to update 10 on this Pecatonica River Flintlock Hawken. I started to experiment with drilling my hole here with the tool we made, and it's going to work fine. The only thing I actually didn't forget, I remembered that I had to buy a longer jobber drill to make it all the way through on this, and I'm going to order it and have it. I remembered that I needed to have it. I didn't remember to order one. However, since we're waiting for that, the next thing that we can do is some of the little tasks that need to be done. One of the things we can do is polish this down, and we can start putting our parts on the back and then letting them in so they don't bind up on anything. The other thing that we can do is I've got the trigger guard up in a vise, and I can work on that. And there's a couple other things we can do to hurry this project along. They got to be done. It's just that now we're in a downtime with this part of the project. It's time to do those other things. So let's get started. One of the things we can do is get the trigger guard ready for finishing. This is the butt plate. This is an iron butt plate, and the only reason I'm showing it to you is I've already started on the trigger guard. There's this mold line here, and it's a very rough surface. It needs to be polished out. So I got the trigger guard started, and I've polished out this edge, and I'm about partway through with this edge inside here. This little edge up here is kind of tough, and then it's going to be real tough cutting out and polishing that up, but it has to go. And I've got some file marks. I use both a file and a sandpaper. I've been using this 100 grit, and I've got it wrapped around a little dowel so I can get in the curved sections. And I try to do as much as I can with this 100 grit, because the rough surface will come off okay with this. I don't have much luck, well, I don't have enough time to knock down that seam. And a lot of times in that seam there's divots. And after you knock the seam down, then you have a little bit of a hollow spot there, and you got to even that all up. I try to use the finest file that I can, because any nicks that remain in there when you start polishing it, you got to polish out with this. Sometimes they take longer than just starting with this. So I'm going to go ahead and work on this for a little while today, and then we'll polish that other deal, and we'll see where we're going to go from there. Yeah, these inside surfaces are tough. I like to go lengthwise with my polishing, but until I get this seam done, then I can change the direction of my polish. This is just easier to knock that seam down. So I'm going to go ahead and work on that and finish that out. If you get a chance to make one of these little vices to hold stuff, they're great, because you can switch it around in the vise, and it makes it a lot easier on your back. You're not bending over. You can put it right at work level. I got the plans for this under the Gunsmith of Grenville County, the book, and he has the plans in there to build this. And I took his advice, and I'm glad I did. So I go by two doctrines when I'm doing this: visible and noticeable. So in this little area here, and in this little area here, probably it wouldn't be noticeable. But if it's noticeable, I'm going to work it. This spot across here is going to be right up against the trigger plate. It will not be visible. So I probably won't spend a lot of time there. For me, if it's visible at all, I'm going to work it. If it's noticeable, I'm going to work it. If it's not noticeable, then I might not spend as much time on it. Okay. So once I think I'm finished with the little vise, I cut off the tabs and file them down level, and if they're going to be visible, I finish them out. And then I've always said I don't notice all the little scratches until I put finish coat on it. So what I do is I get a little bit of cold blue and I put it on here, and it's nowhere near a finish coat of cold blue, but it does help me notice scratches so that before I do final finishing, I can hit it with a little bit of sandpaper and polish it, and then re-blue it. So, and actually I'm pretty good. I see a couple spots. There's a spot there that needs a little touch up, and then there's always spots in these holes that need touched up because they're really hard to get to and they're hard to see. So that's kind of ready for the next step. Okay, so I did the same thing with the lock plate. I polished it down. I put my maker's mark on there. I don't want to get too close, it'll just blur. And put a little bit of cold blue on it, and I'm looking at it and I see a few spots that have come out with the cold blue. And like I said, same with the trigger guard. These ones here, they're real light. I think I can probably take care of them with steel wool or 600 grit. And then when we decide for sure we're going to blue it, we put a finish coat of blue on it. These two items took me probably about 5 hours because this thing was terrible. It had a big dip in the center of it that had to be flushed out, and a lot of little bad spots, and the same with the trigger guard. So what's nice is here's two jobs that are ready for finish touch. And so just because you're waiting for a part or waiting for a tool or whatever, there's always something to do with these guns. Anyway, I'm Dave Morelli, and I'll see you next time.